And it is Ashton's turn. Let's take a look. So we are now jumping into Ashton's profile. He's born December 26th, or Boxing Day. He's a Capricorn and 29 years old. So same age as Rebecca. He's also, I think, younger than Rebecca. He's 5'5". Wow, he's also short. He's a detective inspector, which is an actual thing. He is an American Japanese. His religion is Christian, but he's non-practicing. He's got a bachelor degree in forensic science. He likes taiyaki ice cream, Shirley, Ophelia, old-timey action movies and thrillers, kart racing, jazz and swing, Sherlock Holmes, and justice. There was little love between his parents, and though he grew up privileged, he found little joy in student life. He saw the standard testing system as a chore and considers his popularity among his peers to be an annoyance. Rebecca was the only one he considered a friend at St. Goretti, and he was no better when he went into university. If anything, his indifferent outlook got worse with his parents' divorce. He initially took law, but was quickly disillusioned by how heavy-handed and abused the system was. Forensic science, on the other hand, became fascinating to him. He served a brief time as a police officer before he applied to join Luxembourg's Criminal Investigation Department. Early on, he was too eager to deal out justice, but his numerous years in service became quite the learning experience for him. Now, as a detective inspector, he's been assigned to his biggest case yet. That's interesting. Let's take a look at the relationships here. So the best relationship he has right now is with Zachary, whom I'm pretty sure I got killed. So, sorry about that, dude. He's got the lowest affinity with Luke. That's no surprise. But yeah, we shall see. Parties had never really been my thing. They're always such a hassle and take so much time out of my day. Prior plans, commitment canceled, all for the sake of playing along with the others.
Welcome everyone.
Okay, so we're starting right at the party. Okay. I hated them even as a child.
Please, make yourselves at home.
But Mom often insisted. She'd slick back my hair, put me in one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urged me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud and tedious it was. It was all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies have already surrounded me, long before I'd chosen what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, there were all easy ways to tune everything out, and much to my mom's frustration, I always managed to sneak my CD player along. Kept to myself and to my music. Had my own little world, until I learned to observe. It's a simple matter of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of the wrist alone could tell volumes about a person. Still don't like parties, though. Especially ones as big and fancy as the Wright's housewarming. However, when there's actual reason to go to them, I figure they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. I fucking knew it, and so did Rebecca. One that has the name Luke Wright plastered all over it. You'd think the man would want to remain inconspicuous after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxembourg. Granted, most of it have gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that still doesn't make him any less suspect. Yet here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although having observed this man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it, the damn spotlight. Constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. Doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found at his own party. But that's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends. How close he has creeped into the lives of the people I care about. Again, like a stubborn itch he couldn't be rid of. First, Professor Clark. Then there's Isabella. I also spotted Z-Man here a while ago. And now, Now there's also Rebecca. Apparently.
Ashton?
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
That explains things. And makes this difficult all the same. As if getting a contact among the staff to sneak a name into the guest list isn't hard enough. The guy also ditched me last night and might have placed another setback on my investigation if it wasn't for my generous tip. Then here comes Rebecca, another person to mind.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
A necessary lie. Can't bring my own friends into this any further than they've already found themselves in. Because if Luke Wright so much as harms a hair on either Zach's or Rebecca's heads, there will be hell to pay. Worrying about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stressing in itself already. Doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. It would tarnish his glorious reputation, and he values appearances more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't capable of it. More than, in fact. But on the off chance he does something, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
For Zach's and Rebecca's sakes, however, I really hope this will simply be another housewarming. Even though something tells me it's anything but. Call it detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke Wright's involved, nothing good ever comes out of it. Can't let my guard down here. Even more so when a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes.
Chief?
My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed me to himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for the newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although to see him here, chatting it up with Luxborn's rich and famous, isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect meant, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with a person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
What the shit's going on here?
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
Hey, be careful! About what exact...
I don't want to draw attention to myself either. At least, not until he's given me proper reason to spoil his little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
For now, the best I can do is wait and remain inconspicuous, especially with Chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know Zach and Rebecca, or forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. Wandering is out of the question as well, when there are guards and cities stationed here and there. Sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now, when I'm one of the few snooping and roaming about. It'd be best to try and do so once there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designer's drunken claims are true.
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It'll all come down to how well I play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party's going to give me the breakthrough I need to crack Luke right. Or something to prove my suspicions wrong. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've had an inkling before. A few hunches tempered down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears. But one does not simply deal with the rights and get invited to a party they host without wanting anything from either of them. Or it's the other way around. So, with the last wary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. By the time the party's in full swing, the night has fallen. Yet there still isn't a Luke right in sight. Man can be quite ostentatious, but this, frankly, I'm impressed. I don't even know how many hors d'oeuvres I've already stuffed my face with. One too many, probably. Servers are already giving me a stink eye every time I saunter over to the buffet table. Blame your employer, not me. He's the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guests' idle talk is concentrated in this area. Despite standing under the same roof as the very people they're whispering about, some just couldn't resist. Might as well keep an ear out for any useful information.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem? Tech problem?
It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the Blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
Interesting.
He might have already.
If the red tape I've been slammed with these past few months suggests anything. That, or someone's been pulling the strings. Wouldn't be shocked. This case would not have gone this long if Scumbag didn't have a mule or some kind in the force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out.
I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened.
Feh. Glad I did not have to deal with that. But keep it down, someone might hear. The wife especially.
This kind of negligence has always been an advantage. Sometimes I wish I could be smashed drunk while doing this. Having sharp ears also means you get to hear the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week? One person's motive for bashing someone's skull against a wall? Or a father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive? What?! I'm sorry, what?! Oh, that's a story that you're gonna have to tell at some point, Ash. That sort of stuff. After a few years, it gets tiring. You get desensitized to it. The humans could also be downright awful. Sometimes, there simply isn't enough brain bleach in the world. Sadly, the wine's a no-go tonight, and mostly for show. I'm up for another drive later, for one, and I definitely want to be sober in case anything happens. And something always comes up in assignments like this. A detective inspector dying of cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart grinds to a halt, the second I shift my eyes to a corner of the ballroom.
Hannah Wright.
Some will say I'm acting a touch bit paranoid. Maybe I am. This is a party, and she's the hostess. Goes to say that she'll take time to mingle with her guests. The Hannah Wright in Evans isn't without her fair share of accolades. At least to the public, she doesn't seem like it. Unlike her husband, she's the one with the business sense, not to mention the impressive track record needed to manage a company. Or effectively hide whatever irregularity there might be. She's clean as far as my agents and I found, but doesn't rule out a possible involvement with whatever her husband's up to. Hell, Luke Wright came out clean in previous reports until I bothered to take a deeper look into it. What I found may not be sufficient to bring anyone to trial yet, but it's enough to nurture suspicion. This might be a bit of an overreaction, but no one lasts long in my line of work being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Nothing to be worried about then. She's probably even more careful with appearances than her own husband, having grown up with the spotlight focused on her. Yet even knowing that, the anxiety stays. It's been here since the party started. I brushed it off earlier. Who wouldn't feel edgy, right? I've gone undercover in a party hosted by the very people I'm investigating. That in itself is risky, and has a plenty of rooms for error. Ooh, grammar. Usually, though, tension passes around in the first half hour or so. I've been trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each second I spend here, it only grows heavier and seeks to overwhelm. An odd feeling that someone's watching me instead. It's been like this since last week. But I should already be used to it. Uh-huh. Ghost girl. People will be looking at me. No matter how big or how small or big of a blip I am on the radar. That's what they do in these things. But when the feelings of eyes burning into your back linger longer than necessary, I've been looking around every now and then to catch the culprit. No luck. And despite my efforts to push the sensation as far down as I could, tiny pinpricks continue to sting the back of my head, and the ghost of cold touch creeps up my limbs. Until my gaze switches back to Rebecca and Hannah Wright. She's standing there. Dark-haired, dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb. Oh, he sees Sadako! Even so, no one seems to notice. Although she's looking away from me, her mere existence here strikes. Disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision binds while I stand stock still and gape at her. Like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence, until another guest bumps into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then do I realize that I've been holding my breath. Before I could figure out what happened, she's gone. A quick scan of the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure that someone like that would not have been allowed in a fancy setting like this. What has the security been doing? Are they really that incompetent for someone so distinct to easily get in without notice? There should have been an outcry by now, particularly from the host. She's been standing almost an arm's length away from the woman, and yet she simply continues her talk with Rebecca.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Is there something in the food then? I'm starting to see things. I couldn't have been the wine though. I'm every bit as sober as when I first stepped out of my car. The hors d'oeuvres. But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luke Wright want to do that? He's fishy. But I couldn't see why he'd ever think it'd be a good idea to lace the food he'd served at each party. With someone like Chief Lee on his guest list to boot. He has been linked to the narcotics trade. Yup. However, that kind of tactics below him. That much I could tell. Unless there's a mass murderer waiting to happen here tonight, which I highly doubt. So.
What the fuck was that?
That would be the ghost girl that Isabella's been talking to you about. But there's no time to look deeper into this, even if I wanted to. Not when the telling silence comes upon the room and draws everybody's attentions to the main doors of the ballroom.
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents.
Scumbag.
Enjoying the party.
I love that his name is Scumbag here. It's great.
I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now. Before that, I heard stories from previous officers who tackled this case, none of which are pleasant. Mind, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark yet. Pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it. While Wright's good at covering whatever shady stuff he's doing, he's shown to be a really rotten guy. At least, that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I've lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases the guy could be pinned with. Standing in the same room as him doesn't make me want to punch him any less. Actually, they're just stronger. But, protocols. My case, first and foremost. My own opinion of the man shouldn't get ahead of my purpose here. If I want to put him in his place, it should be in court, with all proper charges filed against him. And I'll only be able to do that once I gathered enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd. Amidst the cheers and claps, now's a good time as any move. Try to find that something the McCullough woman talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with the slime ball himself. The fake smile's plastered on my face while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossiping about him. All while slowly inching out of the belt room. Unfortunately, before I could get any further.
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle?
This scene again.
Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their mess. Either they quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or they create an even greater problem out of it, and it just blows up in everybody's faces one way or another. Fun.
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
Well, clearly he isn't smiling now, is he, Rochelle? Not even a few seconds in, this has already proven itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on a television to buy daytime soap operas? You could just go to one of these parties and see the action unfold in real life. You get free food, too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I'm not a guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him, though, through this whole story tale. So I wait. I listen. I observe it. Interesting, isn't it, though? That's the chief inspector's wife. Yep. He caught that. So I'm gonna save real quick. Morning after starts off quiet. Even the whole of Samwell residence seems unusually still. The open hallway when I step out is devoid of tenants. No sounds coming from the other units either. It's almost as if something's brewing out on the It's almost as if something's brewing on the horizon. A peaceful night's sleep still does wonders for the mood, though. Can't even remember the last time I've slept without anything urgent interrupting. It's a nice break from all the bad news lately. If it wasn't for the insistent buzzing in my pocket waking me up, I'd sleep in. The ringing stopped before I could move somewhere private, but sleep has also been effectively kicked out of my system by then. Pity. Could have used a little more, until I have to face the other storm. Of course I owe Rebecca an explanation. Doesn't matter if it's the whole truth or anything, or another hastily spun tale. Although I haven't really figured out how to go about this yet. Unlike Zach and Isabella, who don't usually ask questions and are content with what little I could share, Rebecca's rather quick on the trigger. It'll have to be set aside for later, though.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City.
The chief's name
Baggers
stares
watch
back
out,
at me,
can't
almost as
beat
if
me.
it's mocking
Looking
me.
for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude.
It would have been
Pretty
nice
fine
to
for an
just chill
Asian
after
guy.
last night, or maybe half
Sup,
listen to
I'm
the
Ash
news.
from Deluxe City.
Sure, it's the
Baggers
same
watch
thing
out,
you've been hearing
can't
later.
beat me. Looking for trouble? Better
Still.
not lie. I'm a cool dude. Pretty fly for an
That
Asian
is
guy.
very fucking distracting.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers watch out, can't beat me. Looking for
Sure,
trouble?
it's the same
Better
thing
not
you've been
lie.
hearing lately.
I'm a cool dude.
Still be standing
Pretty fly
outside
for
in the
an
chilly
Asian
looks
guy.
warm morning.
Sup, I'm
on the
Ash
phone
from
with the boss.
Deluxe City. Baggers
Sighing,
watch out,
I answered,
can't beat me.
if only to
Looking
get
for
this over
trouble?
with.
Better
Frey, where are you right now?
Now that's a tone I didn't expect from him at this hour. Just thinking how this will go gives me a headache. Immediately I reach up and pinch the bridge of my nose to stave it off.
This is why I won't ever drink myself senseless.
What was that?
Nothing, Chief. A pleasant morning to you, too.
He's probably calling to rag on me or complain about his wife, which is really none of my business unless it affects my case. Seems like the usual rich man cheats on a wife deal. Although I would have followed up on it, if it were somebody else's wife. But figuring it's the chief's, hey, I trust him to come clean if the missus is related to the Wright's shading dealings. This is why I left before they even hauled the woman out last night. I'm not going to go around investigating cheating husbands and wives, when it's probably just that. Chief appears to have a different idea in mind, though.
There's nothing pleasant in the morning.
Eh,
Anyway, where are you? I told you millions of times before to keep your lines open.
I'm pretty sure he didn't turn his phone off, dude. He did. And not only him. Zach, Rebecca, Isabella, all of them have said the same thing numerous times in the past. But I was undercover last night. A phone call's the last thing I wanted to happen, when there were other things I need to focus on at the time. Yeah, okay, so he turned his phone off during the party. Smart. Besides, we have radios and work issue phones. Why isn't he using those channels if this is urgent?
Just woke up, sir. As awesome as it is to hear your voice this morning, it really is early. If you could give me a few minutes just to wake myself up, that'd be swell.
No need for that. This won't take long.
Is something wrong? Am I needed at the precinct ASAP?
Oh no, everything's good over there. Just look, kid. Frey. Don't take this personally, alright?
This is the moment he gets taken off the case.
You're off the Luxbourne firm case. Starting today.
Well, I did not expect to hear that either. This must be some kind of cosmic joke. I allow some awkward seconds to pass. Chief must be pulling another one of his awful pranks. Out of his bad mood or a severe hangover, maybe? Everyone knows that when given the chance, he exercises no control with his drinking. If it wasn't for his wife causing a stir, he'd probably be trashed an hour at the party. He likely drank more after they threw her out of the ballroom. Besides, his sense of humor has never been good. It's just infuriating most of the time. But when he doesn't follow it up, if I sound a tiny bit frustrated speaking to my own superior, I'm not the one to blame.
Wait, no. What? Are you kidding, Chief? Is this one of your practical jokes again? The Temps won't say anything about it, but
It's not that. They're orders. From the higher-ups.
Oh, the higher-ups. Yes. My favorite word. Since when did the higher-ups ever care about what the Criminal Investigation Department did? As far as I could tell, they don't give a hoot if CID's filled with cold cases as long as we keep the spending low. When I need to view those old case files, though, they're locked away in the archives. You're gonna have to check with the higher-ups. I need access to those reports. See if the higher-ups would allow it. Every step, every move in this case, there isn't one that hasn't been gated by some authority. If it's not the chief, it's the commissioner. Or so they always tell me. Makes one wonder why they haven't bothered assigning it to anyone. Not a single one of them has done anything to help move the case. And they wonder why it's taken this long for even a hint of progress to show.
you can't just drop this on me. You can't just take me off like that.
Yes, I can. And I'm sorry, Ashton. You're a good detective. One of the best I've seen in years, but...
3 years, Chief. 3 years!
3 years since that anonymous tech leak blew up. Since Luke Wright's name was openly linked to several nasty dealings within Luxbourne's corporate world, some of them involving deaths. 3 years, and I was the only one who made it this far, made so much progress that other officers with more experience aren't able to do when they handled this case. Just within a year, and with barely any help from that damn brass at all. Of course I'll be pissed.
Do you know what would have happened if I didn't work my ass off on this thing? If I didn't dedicate a whole year of my time on it, it would have gone cold, like every fucking case Luke Wright has been linked to. I saved this from getting thrown into the archives, sir. I'm getting close. If you could just...
I'm fully aware of what you've done, Frey, but the Commissioner hasn't been happy with your progress. Still too slow by their standards.
Wow. Yeah, this smells a cover-up, whether Chief is lying and basically reassigning him so that it will go cold, or the Commissioner's not happy that progress is being made.
Too slow? Well, what about those reports I filed? I've documented every freaking thing for them. I've given you every important lead I can gather. Isn't that enough?
They need results, not a bunch of research papers. Not one baseless assumption after another. Concrete proof, Frey. I'm really sorry. They've already made a decision. They're going to pass this on to someone who's been in the force longer. Someone who has more experience.
Oh, wow, that's a stab and a twist.
Someone who has more experience?
They meant nothing by it, but you're still too young to work on a case this big.
Then why give it to him at all?
Chief, I've already done more than what those old farts ever did behind their desks. All of it, within just a year of being assigned to this.
Watch your language, Frey. Those are your superiors. You're...
I'm not some damn rookie fresh out of training. I'm as qualified as they are.
Futile. I know it is. They'd never say it within my earshot, but from the very minute I stepped into their precinct, the lot of them had underestimated me. From their stares alone to the assignments I get. To them, I'm still just a kid. Too young, too green, too inexperienced. And once they pulled that card on me, every argument I get gets thrown out the window. No matter how logical it is, how much I've accomplished, what the records say, or the amount of work I've put in every investigation they've thrown my way.
We're all aware of your skills, kid. You wouldn't have that badge and rank if you weren't good enough. However, this case is just not for you. Too high profile, too risky to put a good officer like you in harm's way.
Can he even hear himself? He's contradicting himself. One minute it's there's not enough evidence, there's not enough leeway, there's not enough movement. The next thing is, oh, we're doing it for your safety though, because who knows what kind of trouble you could get into. What the fuck is it? Which is it? Which is it? Is it too dangerous, or is there not enough evidence? That reasoning is odd in itself. No one joins this line of work without knowing the dangers of it, and there's that too. Like, no one wants to be a cop to basically be safe or be 100% out of danger. They're the ones that are supposed to rush into danger.
Don't I get a second chance? You said it yourself. I'm a good detective. It'll just be a matter of time before we can close this.
It doesn't matter what I think, Frey. You're off the case, and that's final. I expect all related files and documents on my desk by Monday morning. And don't even try to go touch anything. I know how hard-headed and determined you are.
Chief, please. A few more weeks. I'll have the proper evidence left on your desk by then. I swear it won't take longer than that.
Fred, it's too late, boy. I've already informed the other officers.
Great.
You aren't to be allowed access until you've been given a new assignment. Hell, just keep out of the precinct, Frey. Take the weekend off.
Seriously, Chief, is this about last night?
Oh.
If this is about me being at that party, I have a good reason for...
You were at the party.
I knew that. I knew it was going to happen. I knew the chief hadn't seen him. He was too focused on other shit. Ash, you and your big fucking mouth. Makes me pause. His wary tone, the sudden careful note in his voice. Slowly a frown forms in my face. My eyebrows knitted together in confusion. Much as I hate to say this about my own boss, there's also suspicion in it. Hard not to think of it that way, seeing how he acted around Hannah Wright last night. Is he worried? Why should he be? Everyone who's anyone was invited. I didn't doubt for a second why he received an invite, even if his presence was questionable. There's something wrong, and I've unintentionally walked into it. All I have is the sneaking suspicion, but when one looks at this from a different angle, puts everything together. Why the hell I've been taken off the case might be for the same reason he was there in the first place. Fuck.
Yes, Chief, I was. For a good reason. What were you doing there? I know we don't have a strict rule against attending functions, but that was...
He coughs, and it almost sounds like he's choking on his own excuses? Lies? I don't want to accuse him of anything. Yet. He's someone I've respected since I joined LPD, even with his bizarre sense of humor and tendency to procrastinate. He's obviously competent enough to get the job done. He wouldn't be Chief Inspector of Luxborn Police if he wasn't. He wouldn't last years in the service without some track record backing him. Unless that too is a fluke. And what's backing him is not something, but someone. Oh. Oh shit. Fucking hell. Fucking shit.
Chief Harvey, about last night with the...
Why does it matter, Frey? This isn't about that.
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'll recite the whole damn oath we've taken upon being sworn into service if I can. But at this point, it seems too late to remind him of that. He has probably already moved from serving and protecting people to serving and protecting his own interests. Damn it. I've suspected the upper brass in this, even the lower ranked subordinates in the force, but from my own boss? Shit. No wonder that leak didn't lead anywhere. Someone closer might have been pulling the strings. I might have been set up to fail long before the fucking case had been assigned to me. But I don't want to just give this up. I don't want to believe I've wasted an entire year for this. I don't want this to be the kind of news to tell Professor Clark after all those promises I've given the man.
I just want to know, sir, at the party, with Luke and Hannah Wright, you were...
Monday, Detective Inspector. First thing in the morning. Every copy of the files you have, I want to see all on my table, understood?
This isn't...
Frey, am I understood?
What else can I do other than smile and nod? Yeah, he's definitely shut down the conversation here. With my own superior expecting an answer, using that tone, brushing off my questions off as easily as discarding a dead body.
Yes. Yes, sir.
He cuts the line as soon as the words are out. You're off the case, Frey. Just like that. New timeline. October 29th. Ashton Frey receives a phone call from Chief Luxbourne Police. First thing in the morning, informing him that he's been taken off the Luxbourne firm case, although his protest fell on deaf ears. The sudden turn of events proved a hunch. Okay. Funny why this still caught me off guard. I've discovered years ago how different the actual thing is, how far from reality everything I believed in as a dreamy-eyed kid. There are no high-speed pursuits every day, no thrilling gunfights or exciting cases every step of the way. Only paperwork, lots of red tape, and dealing with the politics and bureaucracy. I've set out to change things, hoping it'll make things better for the people I care about. It ended up changing me instead. Serves me right for being too idealistic, I guess. This is probably the universe telling me that it's better to remain the skeptic I really am. Now, here I am, standing useless. Can't even do anything but grit my teeth and kick the wall. The bastard didn't even acknowledge my response.
What did the poor wall ever do to you?
Figures Rebecca would be the one to find me in this embarrassing state. Honestly, I don't like it when she sees me like this, which seems to happen a lot, regardless of what I want.
Rebecca, now's not a good time.
The concern I expect from her when I turn isn't there, however. Instead, she just looks, well, the storm I left brewing last night, it's right there on her face, ready to be unleashed.
When is it ever a good time for you? You're always so busy with everything now. Now I find you here, sneaking out without even bothering with a proper goodbye. Not even a word. Really, I'm starting to think you're just keeping me around for my couch and my cooking.
Becca, it's not what you're thinking. I wasn't planning on sneaking out. I was going to say goodbye. I just had to take this call. Although, I'm not gonna lie, couch is great. 10 out of 10, would sleep again.
Trying to change the subject.
Stop it with the jokes, Ashton. I'm not in the mood.
Her bitterness is not lost on me. But at this point of our friendship and our lives, how does she still expect me to answer that? What am I supposed to tell her now?
Are you still mad about last night?
Why wouldn't she be, Ash? She merely raises an eyebrow at me, which, to be honest, is all the response I need. Seeing her like this makes me believe those things Z-Man says. Part where Rebecca scares him. Sometimes. I've certainly seen this more than once already. But the familiarity of it doesn't really take away from the downhill turn this conversation's starting to take. Only an awkward cough serves as a way to stall.
Okay, of course you're still mad. But whatever happened last night, I really am sorry. I'll apologize as many times as you want.
Yeah, but she wants an acknowledgement of wrongdoing, Ash. Not just an I'm sorry.
If you want, I'd even kneel or something.
Ashton, an apology is nice and all, but that's not what I wanted to hear from you today.
Alright, fine, okay. Where do you want to start?
Oh, I don't know. I've honestly lost track of it by your third trip to the buffet table.
I wasn't... The drive up there took a bit. Can you blame me if I wanted to grab some appetizers?
Oh, come on, Ash! For the whole evening? For the whole party? Please don't tell me that's all you did, because I've never known you as someone who pigs out. You even took great lengths to avoid me. Should I also mention how you ignored Zach? Sometimes I get the feeling you don't want to be seen with us in public. Some friendship, huh?
Yep. There it is.
You know it's not like that. It's never going to be like that, Becca.
I'll ask this again. Just what were you up to during the party? What were you doing that you couldn't even take 2 seconds to make time for your friends?
I couldn't even look her in the eye. It wasn't that I wanted to avoid them. I did it to keep Zach safe. To keep Rebecca safe. Just in case. Client or family friend, it was still a party hosted by a person of interest. By a man accused years ago of murdering a person's wife to get what he wanted. Oh! Now we're getting somewhere. I mean, I had a feeling it was murder based on what he was alluding and shit, but I didn't realize it was someone's wife. But then Chief showed up, Hannah Wright happened, and Luke Wright just can't be bothered to die peacefully somewhere. All of a sudden, none of my original reasons mattered. If I was found out right then and there, hell, if Zach and Rebecca's connection with me was found out, who knows what might have happened. But Rebecca doesn't understand that. Doesn't understand what I can and can't say to keep them from harm. It's all in her eyes. The tight line of her lips, her furrowed brows, the hurt. This day is just off to a wonderful start. First my case, now Becca. Whoa, both of those options suck. Stretch the truth or insist it's confidential. Either way, he's being dishonest. Fuck. I have a feeling insisting that it's confidential, that's just gonna ignite the dynamite, I think, because that's his go-to explanation, because he doesn't want to lie to them. Which leaves stretching the truth, and that's an even worse option, honestly. I mean, I guess we're gonna try and stretch the truth. I have no idea how this is gonna go, but we'll see. Yep. Obviously, I couldn't just say, hey, Becca, you know the rights? They're suspected to be ringleaders of a crime syndicate and shit like this. Protocol or otherwise. There's so many things I'm not allowed to tell the others. Even if I am able to share information with civilians, knowing anything could very well put them in danger. That's why I keep it vague. Obscure the facts. Or when push comes to shove, stretch the truth. Oh, that's what he always does. Shit. I had it backwards. Boo. Shit. It's a necessity I've grown to deal with. It has already become a part of me, no matter how much I loathe doing it.
I mentioned it, didn't I? I was there on behalf of someone else. I was on business, Becca. I wasn't there to have a good time.
She doesn't look convinced. At all. Although she's the very picture of someone who's at least willing to listen, her glare effectively takes a good 20 off my current years. I feel like a kid again, being reprimanded by my junior high school teacher for sleeping in class. But getting away with that is easier than with this one. It's the thing with someone you've been friends with for so long. They're the ones who know you inside out. Good grades wouldn't be enough for Rebecca to let this whole thing slide.
You couldn't even spare a single second to mingle.
What was I supposed to say? Hi, fancy meeting you here. Would you like to dance? By the way, those appetizers were really good. You should try some. Like that? I've got a boss guy breathing down my neck. I don't exactly have the luxury of doing as I please.
This much is true. My reasons for being at the party too, however. However, Chief's presence last night made a lot of things difficult. Approaching them was out of the question when there was someone watching. A person who knew the reason why I was there. Turned out to be a good call on my part. But for someone who's already angry beyond reason, everything will only sound like an excuse.
Cut the shite. I saw you stuffing your face with the deviled eggs while your own boss is off on the other side of the room. You didn't even exchange a word or a glance with him either. In fact, I think you're also avoiding the man.
She called that.
Just say you don't want to talk about it instead of lying to my face.
I do feel guilty. Still, we've already been down this road. This is something I've done so repeatedly in the past. Something she's heard from me more times than all of my fingers could count. Something I just have to get over with at the moment.
I'm sorry, you know that, Becca. I really, really am. I wouldn't do this shit if I didn't have a good reason to.
And you know that I don't like you lying to me! If you can't tell the truth, just don't say anything and shut your gob! I swear, Ashton Frey, you are just so dense! I'm so angry. I can't even bear to look at you right now because I swear I'll knock you right off your block! I mean, what good reason could you have to act like an antisocial asshole? The only time you did talk to me was to spout some vague nonsense about Luke. What was that all about? Were you somehow expecting me to just accept everything as it is?
You really shouldn't go near that man, Becca.
Why? Because you don't trust him? I wonder if you actually trust anyone.
Oh, he does. He's just shy at showing it.
Aside from the three of us, Zach, Isabella, and myself, do you even have any other friends?
Oh, that's low.
If you're perfectly fine with that, then go ahead. No one is stopping you. But don't expect me to share the same views. I can have a life of my own. Friends that I don't necessarily share with you. I'm an adult, Ashton, and I can make my own bloody decisions. I sure as hell can choose the people I want to let into my life.
Of course, she's allowed to do as she pleases. I never mentioned she couldn't. Us growing up together doesn't mean it always has to be just the two of us. It's a dumb idea to believe in when nothing ever remains constant. Things will inevitably change through the years. She'll make friends with people outside of our little circle. I'm just as free to form relationships with other people. But why of all people did it have to be him? Why does it have to be Luke Wright? That guy is nothing but trouble. How can she defend a guy like that? She's already calling him Luke for Pete's sake.
I trust Zach, I trust Isabella, and I trust you, Rebecca. So why can't you trust me on this? You need to stay away from that man. Because he's... I really wish I could tell you.
What was that saying Isabella mentioned before? A liar is a brother of a thief. People who look at me now will probably say I'm a hair's breadth away from being a criminal. Z-Man said something like that once, a few years into our friendship. I laughed it off back then, but now, they're probably right. Little by little, I'm becoming the very kind of person I hate. How ironic. Silence afterwards brings an even heavier air between us. Something that Rebecca, thankfully, doesn't allow to linger more than necessary.
I suppose you have to go now, huh?
The situation's already awkward as it is. Dragging this out will only make it more... What? Difficult? Messed up? As if it isn't already.
Back to your case again?
I don't really have to. I have no case. As far as the job's concerned, I have the weekend off until I can have to report to the chief on Monday. Although I don't want to just throw in the towel on this. Orders are orders. This isn't like the movies. I don't get to say fuck off, throw my gun and badge at him, become some vigilante, save the day, and get my job back. I'd rather get my ass thrown in jail than do any of that. But it's also not in my nature to sit still and do nothing. It'll drive me crazy if I just idle around. Besides, there's someone who has to know about this whole Luke Wright thing.
Yeah, I need to go talk to Professor Clark. And there's something else I need to look into.
That other matter she mentioned last night, specifically. The same stuff Zach has also been trying to tell me. Things even the news have been blasting out to the general populace lately. Evening, afternoon, morning. All deaths with the same modus. Blamed on a single serial killer. Or is it still the case?
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxborn police.
What grasping at straws as far as these murders are concerned. In the first place, not even the one heading this investigation. Yet look at me treating it as if it's another high-profile case on my shoulder. How sad is that? Although 3 of my friends had mentioned seeing something strange, I don't want to go into that line of thinking for now. Not yet. Not until I've exhausted every logical argument I could throw at it. To be honest, though, I don't know how to take all of this anymore. But I've already given Isabella my word. It'd bother me more if I didn't follow up on a promise I made to her. And after Rebecca's claims last night, there won't be enough sarcasm in the world if what my friends have been telling me is true. I can already hear Isabella's laughter, in fact.
Figures. What else can it be?
It's not another case. It's something else. That issue Isabella mentioned yesterday morning. I'm sure you remember. You were there.
Well, at least you're not neglecting all your friends.
Oh.
Becca, I promised her I'll...
She doesn't wait for me to finish. With a roll of her eyes, she turns around and shuts the door in my face. I have no idea what I've said this time, but...
I probably deserve that.
Yep. We'll just have to fix this some other time. By then, her temper's sure to have cooled off significantly. Rebecca confronted Ashton about what happened at the party the night before. Unable to tell her any details, the latter chose to stretch the truth. It led to another argument and ended with Rebecca slamming the door closed on him. Welp. Hopefully. For now, I can't laze around. Gotta tend to things that matter more. Professor Clark first, deliver the bad news. Then the issue with our BRC and Isabella. Maybe I'll also drop by Zach's, check on him, hear what he has to say. He's also read that damn letter. Has also been saying odd things about a bunch of photographs. Might as well, while I'm here, playing a paranormal detective, or was it a supernatural? I can't remember. Whatever. Wouldn't hurt anyone if I tried to get to the bottom of this. If nothing comes out of this, everyone could shut up about the stupid curses and we could finally get back on track with our lives. Onto more important stuff. If there is something.
Are you two done?
There's a moment of confusion when I don't see her familiar ponytail about, only to find her standing behind the door to her apartment seconds later. Isabella holds it open, though only slightly, as if to hide from anyone who might happen to pass by. I figured she had listened in this early and on a lazy weekend. I doubt anyone would. But from the gap and what little light there is behind her, I can make out the appearance of someone who was just recently gotten out of bed. Hair in complete disarray, eyes still heavy with sleep, and a small pout on her lips. She hasn't even gotten out of her pajamas. I look away long before my sense of decorum kicks in. We might be friends. I'll even dare to say we've grown closer over the years, but that doesn't extend beyond the bounds of propriety, rather. Christ, even Rebecca never greets early visitors in her sleep clothes. Though maybe it's our fault why she's up this early. Still, heat makes a slow crawl up my neck, one that I quickly downplay with a solid cough.
Isabella, you're up early.
Lame.
No, I'm not. I'm usually up at this hour. You're the one that usually sucks at getting up early.
They don't have a sprite of her in her PJs. That's so sad. Oh well, whatever. It's fine, I guess.
Says the person who looks like she's just fallen out of bed.
Instead of the usual quip, she simply averts her gaze to some point beside her. And although it only flashes briefly across her face, an expression of hurt flickers in her eyes. Disappears the second she turns her attention back to me, but that moment has sent a worried twinge in my stomach. I've seen it on her plenty of times before, just never in a manner that unsettles. Feels, I don't know, off this time? I didn't say anything wrong, did I?
Hey, are you...
Anyway, was that Becca with you? You both sound like Mama and Papa when they fight. You're awfully loud. if we get another memo from the landlady, I'm asking the guard to ban you from ever entering this place.
Me? Becca's the one almost shouting.
Yeah, well, she lives here. You don't. You have no excuse. You're the suspicious-looking person.
Wow.
Thanks. Glad at least one person appreciates how I pretty up this place.
Don't flatter yourself. This place would be so much better without having to see your face every few days.
She follows it up with another pout. But her ruffled appearance, and particularly how puffy her eyes are, I noticed just now, takes away from the intimidating effect she's trying to show. Really, right now, she just looks more like an angry puppy. I might have laughed had it not given me another nagging sense that something is definitely wrong with her. What? Has she been crying earlier? That is worrying. She rarely does that. The only time it happened? The one time I've ever seen her genuinely tear up over something? I think it was after Devlin Court. The night at the bridge. I want to ask. She seems determined to keep it to herself, though.
Belle, did something...
About yesterday, Ash. The things we talked about. Do you think we can take a look at it today?
We? I never said you're coming with me. Don't worry, I didn't forget about it. You'll be the first to know if I find anything.
Nope, she's tagging along.
No, I want to go with you. I'll be ready in a few. This won't take long.
Isabella, you really don't have to. I can handle it on my own. You'll just...
I won't get in the way, I promise. Besides, maybe I can help. You know, if there are files you want to check.
I don't like what she's implying. It's true, LPD is having a hard time with this, but taking Isabella with me? It's out of the question. Under normal circumstances.
You're the one who's going to get in trouble if you do that.
You said it yourself. You need information. And I can help you get that. And it's not like it matters anymore. I just don't want to stand around doing nothing today.
There it is again. A slight shift in her eyes, the mild crease forming between her eyebrows and this mild slump in her shoulders, while she crosses her arms tightly around herself. Like she's shielding herself from whatever painful thing there is out there. I have plenty of reasons why I shouldn't let her tag along. First and foremost, she's a civilian. Second, I have no concrete plan of action, yet. I'm going into this blind. No matter how I look at it, it's simply better for her to just wait so she won't be dragged into what might be another one of my failures. Her assumptions might be a dead end for all we know. But seeing that expression on her, hearing her speak those words out loud, in a desperate, almost pleading tone, I can't bring myself to say no. So I give in. Because right there I see myself in her. The person who doesn't want to stay idle. Who doesn't want to think of the problems haunting him.
All right, 5 minutes.
What? You're timing me?
Well, I can't wait forever. I'm a very busy guy. 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Isabella.
I hate you so much.
4 minutes and 30 seconds, 29, 28. I'd hurry if I were you.
Ugh, you're awful! I hope you never get a girlfriend.
She slams the door right after, although my chuckles, the mirth, and the lightness in it linger. With her, those have always come easy somehow, even if its echoes fade, and only the ghost of a smile remains.
It's not like I'm looking for anyone else.
Aww. I want to tell her. Oh, we have a picture! Isabella disturbed by the ruckus outside her unit, Isabella reprimanded Ashton for the noise. The latter noticed her disheveled appearance and puffy eyes. Although before he could ask about it, she brought up the issue with BRC again, and insisted they both look into that night. Okay. I want to tell her. It's not because I can't. I won't. I'm the one who's chosen not to. Until I fixed myself, until I found myself underneath all that guilt and those lies I've been telling all these years. Because no matter how heavy the weight of these feelings are, I'm not yet worthy of them. Of her. Until then, little words and gestures are the only things I can offer. Minor stuff, such as digging deeper into this thing with BRC in order to ease her worries. I'm not even sure if this will give us anything. Unlike with the firm case, which I already have proper leads on. I'm just going by her word on this. Speaking of the Luxborn firm case, I still have to inform the professor. The apprehension's there, for sure. I've made a lot of promises to the man, and I would have preferred to tell him in person, not over the phone. But it's better for him to hear it from me rather than from a stranger. The railings offer a steady support while I wait for him to answer. I'd like to think I can do this without losing my nerve. My grip on the bar suddenly tightened, though, once the call connects.
Ashton!
Not running today, Professor?
He's usually at the park on late Saturday mornings, as long as it isn't raining cats and dogs. Keeps himself young and healthy, he says. And he's certainly fit for a man of his age with a sedentary job.
Oh, no, not today.
He's definitely at the usual place, though. Cheers and laughter, likely from kids and family, filter through the receiver. I tend to avoid the park precisely because of this. No use reminding myself of the could-haves when it's already over. Mom's doing well with her career. Dad's also fine the last time I visited. Although neither remarried, they're both content with their lives as it is. I'm probably the only one still caught up with it. Hence my aversion. But all in all, it's still a pleasant sight to see. If you're the kind of guy who takes joys in such sights like Professor Clark does.
Just thought I'd enjoy the nice weather before it takes a turn for the norm again. And to what do I owe the pleasure?
The guy certainly seems happy right now. In any case, I almost don't want to break the news to him. But it's better to get this off quick, as long as he doesn't shoot the messenger. He's not the type. However, long-held resentment can change a person. Even someone as mild-mannered as the professor.
I was hoping to talk to you about the case.
I suppose I'm just the downer today. As soon as I said those words, he pauses and the lightness in his voice is gone in an instant. Every time we've talked about this in the past, he does that. He's probably trying to gauge the situation based on the tone of my voice. Perhaps it's a good thing I'm delivering this news through the phone. Who knows what he'll see in my face and my mannerisms. The art of keen observation? I learned it from this man. He probably already has an idea of what this might be about from my manner of speaking alone.
You aren't in trouble, are you?
I am, actually. I've been taken off the case. For a second I hesitate, looking at the dirt between my shoes. But I manage, eventually. After a long, ragged draw of breath, I pick up where I've left off, though still fuming with my words.
Well,
bubbling with my words.
I'm in a bit of trouble, if you can call it that.
Ashton!
He only assumes that tone when there's a reprimand on its heels.
But I'm not in danger or anything.
You've said that same excuse a million times before, Detective Inspector. That exhaustive rasp in your voice tells a different story.
It's nothing like what you're thinking. Don't worry. I was taken off the Luxborn firm case.
I expect anger, frustration, maybe even disappointment. But all he gives me is a small sigh of relief.
Is that so? Well, at least you aren't in danger. Liz wouldn't be too happy if she heard you right now.
Liz. Oh, it's his wife. His wife is the connection to Luke. Luke killed his wife, supposedly. Aunt Liz, she insisted I call her. His late wife. A sweet-tempered woman by so many standards. They were never blessed with kids, and contented herself with simply managing their bakery. But she's the closest I had to a mom in the few years I'd known her. The professor, too. In the absence of my own parents in my life, the two filled the ache their divorce left in me.
Believe me, you'd get an earful. You don't want to show up on her doorstep looking like you haven't slept a wink either.
How many years has it been since? 9? 10? I can still remember it vividly. Two men, primly dressed, briefcases in hand, and a stern look on either of their faces. They were already frequent visitors to the back bakery for a few months. Something about a lot being a prime property in downtown Luxborn. I think they were hoping to settle a deal with them, but neither of the couple gave in to their demands. Why should they? That quaint little shop was a dream for them. Aunt Liz sent me home early that night after a fruitless wait for the professor. The next morning, news of the bakery razed to the ground had spread across the whole city. One casualty. A few weeks later, the property was sold to Wright Enterprise. Yep. A fucking hotel now stands in its place. Of course, an investigation was launched after the incident. The name Luke Wright was briefly at the center of it, but with the lack of any evidence, the case ultimately went cold. The professor hides it well, however. I can tell that he hates that man to this day. He might even blame Luke Wright for every tragedy that happens in this city. He's never blamed me, though, when I'm as equally responsible. I knew something was off the moment those men stepped inside the shop. I could have saved her that night. I could have prevented anything from happening to her, called for help or whatever. But I didn't. So it continues to eat at me until today. The guilt. The Luxborn firm case would have been our chance at reopening that old case, if we could prove Luke right of his crimes. Instead, we're back to square one. Yet all he has for me are words of comfort. To think he can still be this concerned about me after my carelessness, after I've broken another promise a second time. People never cease to amaze me.
You might think that you have failed as an officer. Or maybe you think that you have failed me. And you know more than anyone. I would love to see that man taken down. If anyone deserves to be tried in high court, it's him. But I'm glad nothing's happened to you while you were working on this. That's what's most important. I'd hate to get news like that again.
Yeah. Aww. Suddenly he stops. I imagine a thoughtful look flashing in his eyes as he thumbs the wedding band on his right finger before he continues. It's another habit. He's never removed it since that day. Has never thought once to remarry. Even when he managed to continue with his life and return to some semblance of normalcy. It's his way of honoring her, I suppose, when he couldn't bring to justice the man responsible for his loss. Some people are just hard to forget.
It's not like another death. Yours or even his will bring back my wife.
Silence falls between us afterwards. I don't quite know what to say after that, really. Should I apologize? Show some sympathy? Going into this, I should have thought of something other than just breaking the news to him. As it is, seems the only thing we can do is feel sorry for each other's misfortunes.
I apologize, too, for putting you up to this.
On another occasion, under different circumstances, I might have accepted that, but...
You didn't have to, but you've already done more than any officer who has investigated this. So don't worry about this, old man. I know your department's people all have their hands full recently, too. What with the upsetting news we've been getting as of late. Deaths almost every day. I'm not entirely sure if that has anything to do with the other. It seems too big even for someone like him. But if this is that man's doing...
Professor, please.
Maybe if things around me hadn't started going beyond my control. The letter, the mansion, the supposed curse behind those. I'd still be quick to blame it all on the bastard, too. But as much as I want to keep holding him responsible for it, to add another to his list of sins might not be the case. Agreeing will only cut a deeper wound on the professor. I don't want him to keep clinging to this resentment for much longer. He's already gone through so many years of it. This kind of anger, it's the sort that blinds people. Despite his reassurances, the bitterness still seeps into every syllable he utters. It's one thing for me to act like this. It's painful to watch someone I've considered a second father go down this path.
Please don't apologize. It's really all right. I can try to get it back on Monday when I meet with the chief. No promises, but if not, I'll make sure to keep an ear out for any news. Chief said he's passing it on to a senior officer. I should be able to catch a few tidbits every once in a while. But I swear I won't just give up on this. I'll do everything in my power to get Aunt Liz's case reopened for you.
Promises. Again. A bad habit at this point. I wish I could do more for him. All this time, I prided myself over being the one to always know. Because suddenly, aside from Wright and the murders plaguing the city, I have ghosts and curses to worry about. Things that are completely out of my depth. Professor Clark's right in some way. Things would be so much easier if we just blamed Luke Wright for all of this. At least finding evidence would be a breeze, and I'd be all too happy to put him in a place he belongs. Although if he was in any way also complicit to what's happening, legalities have my hands tied. But maybe that's my fault. I might have missed the ticket that closing the case once and for all last night. If only I'd done a better job during the party. But then, the commotion. There was Hannah Wright and Rebecca distracting me from my purpose too. I'd include that gate crasher as well, even though it's only for a moment. So many things have gone wrong last night that...
This isn't a prank! I saw something! See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys! It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Yep. Last night. At the party.
But it's real! What do you think I saw? It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
That woman.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
Shit. If that was what Isabella had been warning us about, if it was the same thing Rebecca talked about last night, or what Zach told me about a few days prior, how many of these instances have I dismissed since reading the letter? How many have I ignored and passed off as some effect of fatigue or lack of sleep? Even last night, a hallucinogenic lacing the food is the first thing I considered, purely because that's what my training dictates. It's a mindset I've grown used to. It's the setting the gears in my head automatically takes in a situation like this. Of course, I'm not discounting all of that yet until I have enough information. Something to form a conclusion from. Proof in whatever you may for it. Proof in whatever for it may come. He's finally starting to connect things. But thinking straight is impossible when all of a sudden all your beliefs are being upturned. In the most violent way possible at that. Jesus. I need a sounding board. I need someone to talk. I need to talk to someone and Zach's the best person for that.
I have to go, Professor.
Oh, no problem. But what are you...
I don't have time to stop and listen to what the professor has to say as I cut the call short. In the same second, Isabella emerges from her apartment, fully dressed and ready for the day. As usual, she greets me with a smile, but it falls just as fast when she catches a glimpse of my face. Shame. That would have been the first comforting thing I seen today. It annoys me that I'm partially responsible for the worried one replacing it. I must look close to a picture of someone choking or dying because there's nothing but concern in the first words she speaks.
Ash, are you... Do you need to go to the bathroom?
Wow, really?
Yeah, no, I don't, okay? But we should hurry. Come on, don't forget to lock your door.
Seriously, you look like you're about to fall over. Are you alright? Because if you're planning to faint right here, I won't be able to carry you.
Yes, don't mind me. I just remembered some stuff from last night. I need to talk to Z-Man about this. Mind if we drop by his place first?
Shouldn't we call him? To let him know? It's still pretty early, though we'd probably arrive there around noon. Also, what do you mean about this? Is Zach...
He was also there when I opened the letter, right? He read it too. I'm sure he's fine, but it wouldn't hurt to check on him. To make sure. See if he'll say the same things you told me yesterday.
If he's also been seeing things. If it's also the same woman I saw last night. Let's take a look at the journal real quick. While waiting for Isabella, Ashton called Professor Andrew Clark to inform him of his dismissal from the Luxborn firm case. While Andrew assured him that it was fine, the detective promised to keep an eye on the case. However, realization cut the conversation short. There we go.
I'm not saying there's really a curse yet, but we have to look at this from every possible angle. And don't worry, he won't mind. He's probably just watching TV right now. Let's go.
No, he's not.
Okay, but speak up if you're not feeling well. You really look like you're choking on something. You didn't have to do this for me in the first place.
You know it's not as simple as that.
We head down to my car in record time, with not a single second wasted to get the road and drive to Zach's place. If any one of us other than Isabella who knows anything about what's going on, who can help sort the muddled mess my mind is, it's gotta be him. He listened to her. Zach's the kind of guy who prefers to laze around his apartment on a weekend, especially after having a busy week like last one. The big guy's nowhere in sight, though, when I arrive in his unit. Figures. People don't seem to be where they should be when I need them. Looking around, I find no sign of where he might have gone. He usually leaves a note on his fridge if he's out for the day, just in case someone drops by. As there isn't one, he probably just went out for a quick walk. I hope. Maybe he ran out of eggs or something and went out to buy some. He is out of eggs, after all. I put my running mind to the rest for a while. He always has to have some, for it to be an omelette or something he's baking.
Ash, should you be rummaging around? It's bad enough we went in here without asking for his permission.
Chill, I'm just looking.
Actually, I could also go for a fucking pie right now, but Zach's fridge is next to empty, save for a few leftovers. All I can do is sigh and close it behind me.
If you see me take anything, feel free to call the police.
Isabella's quick to shoot me a sharp glare, and another chuckle slips from me, despite the unease of my stomach. But the cheer only lasted a mere few seconds, mostly because she hasn't been in the mood for any sort of friendly banter. It's the silence that's telling, and a quiet Isabella? It's usually the first recipe for an incoming shitstorm.
Do you always do this whenever you visit another person's house? Because I have a lot of questions about your methods.
Just with Zach.
I'm still worried for her friend, of course. And despite what's bothering Isabella, she's anxious too. She's been standing by the doorway for a few good minutes now. Since she entered Zach's place, in fact. Doesn't seem to know what to do with herself. But much as I want to put her at ease, her nervous tics are starting to get to me. The manner in which she makes herself smaller, the way she fidgets with her hands, clasping them one moment, then unfurling in the next. It's distracting enough that I want to ask what's wrong. I doubt she'll give me a straight answer, though. Best I can do is help her temper it.
You don't have to hang around the door. You might be here for a while. You can sit down.
She hesitates for a second, but eventually takes the empty seat by Zach's study table.
Aren't we going to look for him?
Sure, we can, but where are we going to start? I can think of a few places he might be, but Luxborn's a big city. I don't want to miss the big guy if we leave, and...
I trail off, making a vague gesture in the general direction of Zach's bed. The messy bed suggests he's out in a hurry. He didn't even bother to fold the sheets. His cell phone's been left behind as well. Another odd thing when he has made it a habit to never leave it behind in case a client calls.
At least the locked door points to the fact that it wasn't a forced exit.
That seems to reassure her, but not so much. Understandable. Anything might happen. In hindsight, I shouldn't have left Rebecca alone either. We'll have to check on her later. In the meantime, Zach. But with no other clue where he is or no other way to contact him, we have no choice but to wait. Sure, I could give the room another thorough run-through, but I don't think Zach would appreciate me upending his place. Isabella won't let me do that either. Besides, I haven't eaten anything yet. Isabella probably hasn't either. We did leave in a hurry. Might as well take this chance to cool down a bit, right? Anything to distract myself so that I don't I don't just charge head first because of whatever paranoid scheme that comes to mind. Isabella's with me. I can't be reckless. Returning to the kitchen, first thing I see is a bag of chips when I rifle through his cupboards. After muttering a permission and an apology its owner won't hear, I grab it. Isabella doesn't miss shooting me another glare, but she doesn't really make an effort to stop me this time. She ignores my offer of food, though. So instead, I set myself on Zach's old couch, turn on the television. Isabella's silence may not be too heavy, but it sure as hell is awkward. The screen lights up right as some awful noontime drama starts airing on Channel 9. Nothing like sitting in front of the TV with a mindless drone running in the background to waste away the time. And waste it away we do. The afternoon has hit its last few hours when movement comes from the other side of the door, and Zach's heavy treads break the monotonous drivel from the TV. The lock clicks, the knob turns, and slowly it swings open to reveal a very exhausted-looking Zach. What? Did he run a marathon?
Sup, Z-Man?
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Light as my tone might be, his arrival eases the restless edge in me. Who knows what I would have done if something bad happened to one of my friends. If another minute had gone by without him showing up, I might have resorted to unconventional methods.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And hey, is that my...
It's scary how the friendly banter and easy smile come naturally. I do it, even without thinking. And that speaks volumes about how controlled I am around him. That's nice, isn't it? What makes me afraid of it, however, is the idea that a time might come where I might just do these without even meaning to, and offend him in some way. The friendship we have might be closer than most. I've shared with others, but there are boundaries you can't cross without the other's permission. Zach's been respectful of that, so far. Neither asking about my parents, or what happened to them. Me? I'd bet he'd say, not so much. It's also this easy banter that makes me wish we could just stay like this. No worries, no problems, just potato chips and the debate on whether or not I deserve them. But as usual, something always cuts moments like this short.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know? What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Although her tone forces him to do a double take, Zach doesn't push it. The question's all too clear in his eyes when he glances my way, though. I really wish I could answer him. Despite my best efforts, Isabella's been forthcoming as well. What am I supposed to do? I can't just force her to speak, can I? She's not a criminal to be interrogated. She's my friend, for Pete's sake. It's a good thing Zach has a better handle of the situation than I do. And soon enough, he changes the subject. Where it leads to isn't necessarily the better topic, however.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
She stumbles into one of her uncertain silences again before glancing my way. There's a plea in there for me to take the lead in this. But where do we start? The mansion? The strange things we've been seeing? The letter? Even I'm afraid of what he might say. Can't even believe I'm considering taking a deeper look into this whole thing in the first place, but here I am.
I should have listened.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
Unlike when he brought up the subject of the photos with me, he doesn't hesitate when Isabella asks for it. Zach hastily fishes them out of a nearby drawer and hands it to her. I can almost see it in him the 1 second hindsight kicks in, and the realization that she would have been a better listener than I. Makes sense, when all I've been doing until this morning is called it a Halloween prank. She goes through each of the prints in silence, her shoulders growing stiffer by the second until she's gone rigid and pale. But it's the telling glances they exchange afterwards that speaks volumes of the things running inside of their minds.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen. So, that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
As expected, Zach starts to look at me like I've grown a second head. Yeah, I would too if there were ever a universe where I was standing in front of myself. Because even as a child, I never believed in ghost stories. The lucky charms and mystical objects from my mother have often been stored away or given as paltry gifts to those who would appreciate them more.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me, but it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait, stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
He did. Granted, I haven't eliminated every single possibility here yet. But what else is there to go off on from now? The worried look Zach shoots my way doesn't help one bit in helping me gather my thoughts either, when that's what I came here for. Somehow, everyone's suddenly just so worried about me. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
And along with Isabella's warnings. What's occurring around Zach? What's happening around Luxburn since Isabella found the letter?
Have you two seen the news this morning?
Zach's puzzled expression is enough answer. Of course he hasn't. Another night, another nightmare. The guy most likely went out as soon as he got out of bed to shake the image off. Memories have never really left him. Isabella, though.
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
That could easily mean anything. Did her Kuya, her older brother, end up in jail again? She's had to bail him out numerous times in the past. All that did was piss her off, not zap out every ounce of cheer at her. Yeah, I wonder if it was anything to do with her dad. Or is that the other brother? The younger one who keeps insisting that he'll quit school so she could come home? That was 2 years ago. As far as I know, she's already sorted that one out. Couldn't have been her father, right? With the mansion's sale, she's earned enough to cover every bill for a while. It should. So, what is it then?
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Whatever's bugging her, I doubt it's something meant for casual discussion, else she would have mentioned it sooner. Tucking my curiosity for later, I take the remote and begin cycling through the channels. A distraction. Not a good one, I admit, but it's definitely better than leaving her to brood. Eventually, I find one doing a recap of this morning's report. And there it is. Poor guy is unidentifiable with how badly his body's been burned. Murder via arson? That'd be the logical explanation if I was the officer looking into it. Except I couldn't find the source of the fire. fire didn't even spread.
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxbourne police.
They're going to consider spontaneous human combustion soon enough, if they don't find anything else. But what's important for everyone to note is the state of the room.
A similar writing was found in another victim's room from last week's incident. Both were employees of Briar Realty Corporation. LBN has reached out to the...
Like what happened to Cooper. Hell, I wonder how many other deaths like this that I've missed while I've been looking into the right. The LPD is already thinking it's a serial killer at this point. How long until they consult with the London Metropolitan, I'm not sure. The Anselm Butcher has always been an enigma even to the people within the city. Gone for a few years, then in the next, one body after another is found. Merely handling the case has apparently driven the chief inspector insane years ago. He never did find out who committed those murders. Maybe now this time.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
Her words all come out like a whisper, but each syllable lingers in the air, heavy with her guilt. In the thick tension of the room, they strike harsher than any of the things we've said. However, she also has to understand, know, that she isn't the only one on this. No one has asked her to take this upon herself. Rebecca won't. Zach won't. And I sure as hell won't.
It ain't too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here. 4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's staying away from this. I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
Encouragements aside, this is still a whole fucking mess and we're in it blind. The only way to make it worse is if you start running around like a bunch of headless chickens. But I have a concrete plan now. I think. Maybe Isabella's right. Maybe we should dig deeper into BRC itself. Maybe we are looking at it the wrong way. However, my suspicions are mine for the moment. The details are something Zach doesn't need to know until I have something to show. It's enough that he's aware that I have an idea in my mind. For his part, Z-Man doesn't push it. Nothing but a heavy silence leads our departure hours later. Seriously, Zach would probably make a more responsible officer than me. If he only had the heart to join the force. We could certainly use more people, more kind people like him. But as good as that thought is, I push all of it into the back of my mind as Isabella and I head for my car. Tonight I can't stay distracted. Except for a few half-hearted attempts to get some kind of reaction from Isabella, the drive to BRC is a quiet, awkward affair. More so, they are a long wait for nightfall. Even with only the 2 of us, the place is rife with tense energy. Only a matter of minutes now. But the ticking seconds don't take away the edge. For the 5th time, I reach out and fiddle with the radio, adjusting and turning the knobs with no real purpose. It's a nervous quirk I've developed, and never bothered to correct during stakeouts. Something to keep my mind occupied during long nights. What else is there for me to do? The person I usually count on for casual, out-of-the-blue chat refuses my attempts at starting one.
Ash, out with it!
The way she quickly falters into silence after. In spite of the tone she takes now, though, it makes me doubt she really means everything she's telling me right now. Wait, what? Oops.
Ash, out with it! If you have something to say.
Okay. It didn't actually. She says extra stuff, but it didn't actually show. Okay, we're good. She hasn't even glanced my way since we arrived.
Having second thoughts? You can still back out if you want.
We're just going to my office. Why should I?
Dunno. You can get in trouble, maybe. This isn't exactly legal.
Scope BRC out. See if the real estate company has any more information that may be of help. Find things about Cooper and the other agents assigned to Ermengarde Mansion. According to Isabella, it's the last property the victims have worked on. Sure, I could also check the station for full reports. That's the easy semi-legal way. But I don't want to bump into Chief right now. The guys at the precinct will definitely throw me out on his orders as soon as they see me. Not that my plan right now is any better. I'm just breaking into a different place, more or less, with a civilian to boot. The latter still doesn't sit well with me. It never will, especially if this might be put her in a very tricky position afterwards. She's been very careful when it comes to her work. Almost a model employee, as people would say. Why is she throwing caution to the wind now?
I'm not an employee here. I'm not supposed to be looking for any confidential stuff. Only people like you are privy to.
If you mentioned earlier that this is your plan, I might have had enough time to think about it. I already promised to help if you need access to those files. I didn't think you'd want to see them this soon and in this way. Besides, the same goes for you, right? You were taken off your case. Won't you get in trouble with your boss?
Honestly, it's a toss-up between breaking into her office and into the Wright's mansion. As it stands, I'll have an easier time getting in here first. After all, why would someone want to break into a realty company? Been here many times before anyway, for a few casual visits when I wanted to bug Scaredy Cat. Over the years, I have more or less grown familiar with their security setup and how badly staffed they are. Plus, it's an old building. If the bankruptcy rumors are true, it just means their access protocols might also be outdated.
Still, I can do this on my own, you know.
Really? And how are you even planning to get into our office without an access card? Please explain.
She has a point.
Well, I was going to pry open the card reader and use a gecko.
You're a hopeless case. I really want to know why no one has locked you up yet.
Yet you're helping me with this. Willingly. I don't think that'll sit well with the Philippine embassy either. Chances are you'll probably get deported the minute they find out.
Low blow, I know. But it's worth a shot when she can still turn back. It's not like I don't have any means to get into the place. With or without her, I have a way.
At least I have a reason to be snooping about. My badge and rank can speak for me in case things go south. You?
For a passing second, it seems to work. A hint of panic and hesitation flashes across her features when she looks to me with searching eyes. Then unexpectedly it dissolves. Not behind the fear I'm anticipating, but underneath something sharp and searing. I'm not sure what she sees exactly, or what she's hoping to find in the short while she holds my gaze. All of it merely goes unspoken, and no longer than a minute later, she simply averts her attention back to the window, training it once again at some point outside.
Isabella, please, now's not the time.
It's too late for that, Ash. Give it a rest.
An appeal, spoken in a voice too harsh coming from her. Perhaps unintentional, perhaps one that's already too exhausted of everything going on lately. It's hard not to concede when she takes on that tone. And soon, despite herself, I sigh, tucking away every concern I've been lugging about in favor of trusting her on this, according to her the same confidence she has implicitly given me all this time.
Alright, okay, if that's what you want. And don't worry, I didn't mean what I said earlier. I won't let anything happen to you.
Her lips briefly turn up in a smile, though none of the cheer reaches her eyes.
Just get this over with, okay? Everyone should be out of the office by now.
Somehow, the uncertainty in her posture makes me wonder if she intended it as some kind of comforting gesture. Whether it's for me or for her, she doesn't let me find out. Without saying another word, she exits the car while I'm left scrambling and chasing after her. She's already at the side entrance, a hand raised on the card reader beside it, and another poised to push the door open when I catch up to her. Whatever doubt there has been in her face a while ago, it's gone. Seeing her like this makes it easier to believe my worries are unfounded, that things might go smoothly this time.
And where do you think you kids are going? It's late. Most offices in this building have already closed up shop for the weekend.
The bloke seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be the wary sort, for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face and aloof air won't hurt, until I figured out how to wriggle us out of this situation.
Just come back on Monday if you have important business.
But from the way Isabella's face brightens up, it looks as though getting through won't be too much of a problem. He's probably been working here for a few months already then. Maybe around 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise, he would have recognized Isabella or me at first glance. I haven't shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of their security officers ever lasted a year in service. The longest was around 7.5? I assume that means months. 7.5 months. I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job. For the moment, his too friendly attitude's almost a gift.
Hey, Seb!
Oh, look who we have here. Been a few days since I last saw that ponytail in here, Santiago?
Close enough!
Wait, don't tell me yet. I'll get it right this time. Sanchez!
You were closer the first time?
Drat. I swear it is on the tip of my tongue. I just need a hint to remember.
I take it back. This geezer's not going to last past this month. Can't even remember regular employees' names.
Alrighty, I'm sure of it this time. Centillon?
Still a few ways off, Seb.
Isabella, we don't have all night.
I know, just let me handle this. Sorry, Seb. Some other time. We're in a bit of a hurry. I just need to get a few things from my cubicle. Important work stuff, you know? Is it okay if we drop upstairs for a sec?
Oh, absolutely. No, go right ahead. As long as you have your access card with you, we're good. Not sure if I'm allowed to let your boyfriend in, though.
Who, me?
My what?
Your boyfriend. The guy with you, isn't he?
It's a fair observation, if I do say so myself. Needless to say, the silence that descends is both uncomfortable and terribly awkward. Although the latter's probably coming mostly from me, because in the next second, Isabella laughs. Lighter than the ones I've heard from her lately. A comforting sound, really, after seeing her in such a dour mood since this morning. Even as all of it subsides into mere chuckles sooner than I'd like. It's comforting to see that I'm at least partially responsible for it, despite my poor heart being beaten to a sorry pulp.
Oh, no! No. He's definitely not my boyfriend.
She might as well have set it on fire and reduced it to dust while she's at it. Frankly, the number of no's in that sentence alone is a bit too much. Christ. One would have been enough to get the message across. Did you really have to put it that way?
That's impossible! Stop being funny, Seb. I'll go on ahead, okay?
She quickly shuffles inside, with nothing more than a small wave, leaving behind an even more awkward atmosphere for me to wade through. It would have been bearable if I didn't have to suffer through a stranger's amusement. Alas, woe is me.
Not the boyfriend, but close to it, huh?
Mind your own business.
Kids these days. Good to see her up and about, though. Thought for sure she'd up and disappear like the others.
Excuse me?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
If I'm going to be stuck here with him for a while, I might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may just be a guard, someone with no real authority, but most of the time people like him are the ones who know more than they let on.
Yeah, but even before that, we've got a couple of good blokes we never saw again.
Really? Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
Dunno, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Though seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. Figures why Boss Man's been in an awful temper these past months.
They managed to strike a good deal with the mansion in Ansem, right? That didn't do the trick?
Didn't seem like it. The bloke shouting like no tomorrow again. Wasn't very pleased when Gurley called and asked for another leave yesterday afternoon.
Gurley? Isabella?
It's not too surprising, considering she's already been gone for 3 days. Now she's asking for another? Not that it's a bad thing, it's within her rights as an employee, but Isabella rarely uses her work leave.
Yeah, poor lassie if you ask me. She found him a buyer for that mansion after all. The least he could do is be considerate to her after a family member's passing.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, it was her dad. The rumors. BRC, Rose Cooper, missing in action employees, all of it ceased to matter in that moment. Almost on instinct, my eyes zero in on the intercom speaker, as if staring daggers at it will show me the man behind the voice so I can see the truth on his face myself.
Oh, you don't know?
No, what?
Nothing. I shouldn't be the one you're asking, and, things might get a bit boring here. No one really wants to hear what a poor old guard wants to say.
Hang on, I want to hear it. I want confirmation.
Why don't you just go after her? As long as you're not looking to create trouble for me, it won't be a problem. You aren't here for that, right?
He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If I were someone with ill intentions, he might not be smiling at the end of the day.
Well, no, but...
I'll go and unlock that side entrance for you then. Just don't forget to turn off the lights before you both leave, okay?
Hey, wait a second. What do you mean by...
He cuts off the connection before I can finish, and the rest of my question dies in my throat. Soon, the latch clicks, and the side door swings open. The Seb, a stout man wearing a uniform still too loose for him, waves me over from the gap before he disappears behind a station again. Just my luck. Here I thought I'm going to have to count on whatever Isabella brings with her. Although no matter how much I want to feel happy, something else has already taken a firm seat in the forefront of my mind. Is that why she's been acting not like herself today? Since when? Of course, as I step into the building, I try to push all of these questions as far down as I can. I need to focus. Work is work. But if what I've heard is exactly what I think it is, if it's a sign of things to come, honestly, I don't feel too good about it. It's quiet right up to the 7th floor where the BRC Luxborn Main's office is. Seb has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator power on, just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs. Which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs? I don't want to tire out too quickly in case things get ugly. There probably won't be any trouble with the building this quiet, but you never know. I swear the whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. But until I've confirmed anything, those are still just stories. Worse things can happen. No need to scare myself. Staying calm means fewer mistakes.
Though I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
And I don't think being trapped in an elevator is the smart idea, but okay, I guess. I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella in a lot of risks. Best thing I can come out of this is that Isabella's right all along. Worst case scenario? 1. Someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this and her boss fires her. 2. I find evidence that would implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime, and my meddling, if I'm not careful enough, makes it inadmissible in court. Though, I'll be honest, I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around the problems with the former. Isabella could also find a better job. BRC never did pay her properly despite her efforts. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work on them?
Yeah, not going to happen.
But tonight, I'm here to fix things. If I do it without leaving a trail, all the better. Good thing that's what I'm good at. What I'll probably never be good at is finding the proper words when the sitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form beyond those doors, how she pushes through despite carrying an entirely different burden this time, how she's pretending as if everything's normal, it's difficult not to try. People who have never looked beyond her smiles will never know, will never understand. Hell, even Rebecca's probably not yet aware of this. I get it. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself, after all. But it's all in her eyes when she glances up at the few light raps I give the door. She wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and opening it for me, though even her confusion as she takes in my presence barely hides it.
Seb, let you in?
The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing is different from hearing it straight from her. I can't simply bring this up, can I? It's not a topic suited for casual conversation, and I doubt she wants to talk to me about it. As much as I want to help, there's distance between us I'll never be able to cross. One that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago and less of a coward, I might have been able to. Figures I couldn't even do that for the one person I keep telling myself that I care deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
To a rock, maybe.
Ouch! This is as close as we can get to it. I suppose the light banter, the fleeting glances, or sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough. For me, it is. Because even without words, there's comfort. With her, it's easy.
Must be a pretty cool rock, then.
Ugh, get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
helping by standing at the door.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. She must have expected this, the second we walked up to the building's entrance and counted on the night shift guard to bar me from the place. It's reassuring to know she's somehow worried about me, although it's a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides, her concerns aside, I really can't let her get into the thick of things without me. Not with all the problems on her plate right now.
Isabella!
Seriously, Ash, Seb might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
Why did you scream like that, dude?
And you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. With the way things are going here, he's...
On that, I agree with her. Seb's not such a bad fellow. Might be a little careless with his job and talks too much, but he means well. I'd hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record, in case something goes wrong. However, the anxious look she shoots back at the table behind her bring in even bigger worry.
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me and Rose.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here. Even Seb. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Her hesitation's still there. A split second of indecision as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, when nothing comes to mind, she steps aside.
Okay, but we can't take the original files out of this office. Clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her. A nod, then shortly she gestures for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office. A force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Luxborn used to own this whole building. Offices in several floors, once upon a time, when real estate was still a lucrative business for the company in this side of the country. Then competition showed up, and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It's only gotten worse as the years went by, or so according to the rumors. Now the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign in the building's facade says, and frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. A number of desks have been cleared out. Personal mementos are scarce, as if the employees have gone on an exodus. That'd be the downsizing. Probably. Still worrisome, though. Of course, I shake away all of this when Isabella starts handing me the papers she's been looking through. Focus, Frey. There's no point in whining or dwelling any longer on it. That's why we're here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is the old-fashioned way. Isabella's presence is the whole other blessing, too. I couldn't imagine how long this would take if I pushed through going in here alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations. The cleanup. Everything. Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
It's nothing to bring up, but at least it elicits a laugh from her before she heads for the records room. She remembers. And no matter how weak the sound of it is from her usual ones, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me that the Isabella I know is still in there. She returns minutes later with a thick stack of folders and binders. For the next half an hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled in the folders. Not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's two of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work, sorting the contracts, employee lists, stuff we won't need into a neat pile. Just the files for the restoration alone makes up a stack of paper that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, even every single contractor who worked on the projects are listed individually, even if they were just there to do the plumbing. It's a high-profile and high-cost estate, all right. But with that scope comes the loopholes. Means plenty of room to hide something in, if there's something fishy going on. All I have to do is find a pattern. And it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it'll be surprising if they've managed to break even on the Ermengarde Mansion. What with the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and other overhead fees. At one point, the negotiators to get it listed under BRC's name almost broke down too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraisers suggested. This, plus the rumor that their branch is closing. BRC looks where it really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did.
Yeah.
Did you know about this?
No. They took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this.
So much for job security.
I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she...
It's possible that she might have known.
Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this.
Maybe not right away. It is possible that she figured something out.
There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest. The rumors are true, huh?
Seems so.
Sheesh. This place is just unlucky. Going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening. But this isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who. The people aside from Isabella and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion. And the how they are now. We can't do much with the outside contractors. They won't be on file. The employee list, on the other hand. Even with 2 people working through the pile, the whole task still takes quite a while. It's a quarter of an hour later when we put down the papers with a sigh and move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form from the open house comes in handy. Something that gives me a laugh when I see by the fake name I wrote on those sheets. Okay, Hannah Wright, Luke Wright, Richard Frank, Osiah Ventug, Ashley, yep, that would be Ashton, Charles Lasendas, Marcy Ty, Lauren Stiles, Madeline Williams, and Beatrice Wild.
Why'd I even pick this name? It sounds so lame.
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to... Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to finish this soon, before Seb suspects anything.
She snatches the paper away before the thought of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there's much secret in it. Isabella found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Ashley?
Yeah, it was terrible. I'd been careless that day, tailing Luke Wright without confirming where they were headed off to. While the butler's terribly efficient in keeping the Wrights' engagements from the public eye, there are other ways if only I've given it the time of my day. In retrospect, I'd been too eager, too impatient to find something that had cracked the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously? Ashley? Were you even trying?
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of her eyes, then drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back into my hands. We lapse back into our respective tasks afterwards, wordlessly skimming through everything. Read, set aside, get another one. Oh, read, set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and Hannah Wright listed at top. Not that I don't know about them already, of course, but scanning through the list, a name immediately comes to my attention.
Madeline Williams.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns, moves her seat closer, and takes a careful read of the sheet. There's a long moment before she speaks up again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me. In the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, do you? Do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
There was a ruckus at the precinct the day her family filed it. Threats were naturally given at the lack of progress days later. Desperate ones. Her family's willing to shell out all the cash they have just to find her. To no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin has been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with them, but what can he do? What can we do? He's tied. We're all tied. There's only so much we were able to do with everything that's been shoved into our hands recently.
She still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
Isabella makes no further comment, aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling to a fist as she struggles with her frustration? Or maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last long. Soon her grip loosens, as she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, it's one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened not by one loss but many, who carries it in her shoulders like a badge of shame? I've yet to find the answers to that myself. Until then, the only way is forward. Press on to see where our attempts at fixing our mistakes might lead us. And despite my own doubts, a glimpse of that look on her face is enough reason for me. I can't just give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde. What I recall from the newspaper obituaries. Died of a heart attack. Letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away at age 74 in her sleep.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Right? I'd like to believe so. The 3 more letters turn up when I rummage through the stack, and it leaves nothing more than foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to families of clients who have passed away in the same week. Regardless, these go into the pile of things worth looking into after our visit here, along with Williams's info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces. Each one I've seen that day, and here I am wondering if they're all right. It isn't a selfless thought that brings the question to mind. Rather, it's the logic that if more of them are still alive, the more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course. These are just speculations. But we're making progress. Once done with the sign-in sheets, I stash it along with the growing pile to my left, and pull out as many of the other documents Isabella has already prepared for me. We're working through the employees list now. Those who've been assigned to the mansion. Because if Isabella has to be believed, if what she's seen and what happened to Rose Cooper is because of that letter, I need to know everyone who has possibly read it aside from the 3 of us, if they've been noticing strange things too. For all I know, these may have just been a terrible coincidence. Although the thought of that starts to diminish as we dig into the BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation, people who have either visited the open house or worked on the property in some capacity since the letter's discovery. Turns out there are 2 more employees who handle the mansion directly, aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius John Murray, the estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Oh, C, not Sy.
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent.
Oh, he probably saw the ghost and was like freaking out.
He kept screaming about a woman.
Yep. Ghost girl. Sadako. Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story, but that's exactly what happened.
It was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well, it was messy, to say the least.
Ugh.
Oh no, we had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
Jean-Marie, on the other hand, his employee file notes his date of leaving and even when his final payment had been given. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. Communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail has often scolded me for not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This never reached the police's ears or the health and safety committee executive.
Do you know about this guy?
One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media. They've kept it from the police. It's not surprising. This will also be a secret from someone of Isabella's position in this company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him. Last week. We haven't heard anything from him either. Until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Business going under. And someone dies while working here? Of course they want to keep that quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing's starting to get freakier by the minute. Nevertheless, I hand the files for Isabella to make copy.
The pages with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
Sometimes there are things we really can't just brush off as mere coincidence. In my line of work, once a pattern pops up, it's only right to be suspicious. Especially the thing with C. It hits too close to the stuff my own friends have been telling me.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in. Yet somehow, the way she hugs the folder close to herself makes it seem heavier. Like she's hanging onto it in the same manner one will latch onto a lifeline.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive. Might. She doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
For a second, she appears about to argue, then quickly decides against it and hides it away before anyone reads the question in her face. Then in a too abrupt motion, she turns towards the copier and gets to work. Soon only the machine's constant drum fills the air around us, while I keep myself busy cleaning up the mess we've made. The lack of talk is awkward, to put it mildly. Disturbing at worst. I've gotten so used to letting her just babble away whenever it's just the two of us. There we go. To confirm their suspicions, Isabella helped Ashton break into the Briar Realty Corporation Luxbourne office that night. There, the files they found revealed the real deal with the mansion sale that was unknown to even Isabella, and something possibly more terrible. Yep. And this is after Hannah found the necklace. I could tell, however, she wants to do more. She wants to fix this mess herself, and that desire's making her antsy. But at the same time, she's learning how not to be impulsive or stubborn, exactly as I told her yesterday before agreeing to any of this. Or maybe these so-called changes have always been with her. Dire situations have always pushed people to change, after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. In an atmosphere this tense and charged, what is left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you only realize all of this in hindsight, right after you've already ran your mouth off.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
Yep, her dad died. And there's the reason why people don't let me talk. Silence once again descends throughout the room, denser compared to the ones we shared tonight. Behind me, I can still hear her movements, sharp and precise, while she feeds the originals to the machine. Then, with one last click, all of it stops. Her feet shuffling lightly against the floor when she moves away. Something creaks softly, probably the table, as she settles her weight against its side. By this time, an apology's already at the tip of my tongue, but...
Belle,
Papa's gone, Ash.
Yep. Called that. That sucks. She's been working her ass off for all of these years. She's finally collected the money to be able to continue paying for his treatment, and he's suddenly not there anymore. With those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts as the gravity of her words sink. Right then and there, something harsh and immovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with. Almost 10 years in the police force, and it's impossible not to be acquainted with it. But this is different from those dead bodies we examined in forensics. A far cry from the victims we found on a bad investigation. Those, I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments, no need for pretenses. Yet somehow I still find myself grasping for things to tell her. Any words of comfort that'll dull the pain. Because even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough, her pain in an immutable weight hanging over us. So, gently I offer, tell me about him.
When?
Yeah, went up. Sweet.
Huh? When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
She doesn't answer. Not immediately, anyway. For a long moment, the hush simply stretches out before us, spanning across the seconds we let pass while we both simply stand there waiting. Eventually, she exhales. Lightly muted enough that I might have missed it, had I not been paying attention to her every movement.
Yesterday, around 3 in the afternoon there, Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
Yeah, but at the same time, she's probably angry with herself because she wasn't there. She trails off, releases another ragged breath, hidden underneath her chuckles. Each one's mirthless, heavy with nothing but sorrow. Then she falters into silence, and for all my attempts at lightening her burden, I'm suddenly at a loss. Reassurances could only do so much, when her only reason for staying here has suddenly been taken away from her. A hope yanked from under her feet right after it was generously given. And without that, without the one person who pushes her to endure all of the shit we're going through, she's going through, means nothing but a struggle. What does one say to a person fraying at the edges, slowly wearing thin and breaking? Are words even enough? What right do I have anyway? I cannot give her anything apart from lies that changed me as a person, and affections she may or may not even want for herself. Because no matter how easy she has wormed herself into our lives, how immutable her presence has become, her own heart will always yearn for something else. For home.
Tell me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll listen.
Silence again. As if she's testing the weight of my question. For what purpose it is, for a reason even I can't say right now. After a while, though, she starts. Reluctantly, her voice hitching, faltering, and stumbling on each syllable as she chooses her words. A rough start, but soon it steadies. And along with it, to keep company, the story from childhood and memories she's fond of, are the tears. Despite this, in spite of the grief choking her words off, the hurt closing her throat, and the sobs racking her lithe form, she continues. Like the mere act of speaking is a relief in itself. A release. She tells me of her father, the very person who named her. How she looked up to him. How she was a bit of a tomboy growing up in her attempts to imitate him. And how the man encouraged her to pursue what she really wanted. Perhaps even the only thing she ever did for herself. Having grown up not wanting anything more than food to put on their tables.
He told me I don't have to listen to them. That I can do what I want. Every day, he'd wake up at 4, Ash. Because he'd earn more that way. And every single time, he'd give them to me. Whatever extra he earned, he'd hand them all. So that I'd have something to use for my paintings. And you know what? Back home, just a good tube of paint costs almost as much as what we spend for food the whole day.
That's terrible.
But he'd always set something aside. Told me he wanted to see my paintings in a museum one day.
Aww. She pours all of it out. Every little thing she loved and admired about him. Like this, it's easy to see why she's gone to such great lengths for him. Why she abandoned her dreams. Why she went against his wishes just to grant him another chance at life. Others will say it's her warmth that draws people to her, or her cheer. Neither are wrong, but neither is the whole truth to her either. Because those who have never bothered to look beyond the surface will never see it. See her. See someone earnest. Someone who has always meant well, despite her undying stubbornness, or underlying stubbornness. This is how she loves. Warm, steadfast, unflinching. You never meet many people like her. Not in my line of work. Not with the kind of people I've had to deal with. Always with something to hide. Always with something to lie about. Eventually, when you run across too many of them, you change. You become like them. In many ways. For a lot of reasons. She's the kind of person I want to be around. And be around with. Who made me feel I'm still worth something.
He didn't want me to leave. Said, begged that I should finish my studies first. In the end, I couldn't even grant him that one request. I'm a terrible daughter, aren't I?
Nope.
You're not.
Huh?
You're not. I can't speak for your dad. I haven't even met the man. But I know you're not.
I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. The remark just came out. Now I'm stringing all of these together as I go. But one thing's certain. None of what I'm about to say is a lie.
The Isabella I know is a total klutz, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as she does. She's the type who wears her heart on her sleeve. Though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always in the right place. She's intimidated by a lot of stuff, but she knows how to appreciate the smallest things in life. Frankly, you've caused us no small amount of trouble since you barged into our lives. But when I'm with you, all of my worries seem trivial.
Heat has already crept up to my face Heat has already creeped up my face when the turn this whole thing is about to take registers. Oh, he's about to confess! Before I blurt the rest of it out, declare feelings I'm not even ready to reveal to anyone, much less to her. My hand comes up to smother the rest. Ah, chicken! Though embarrassment quickly takes the reins before I can completely clamp my mouth shut.
And I'm pretty sure Zach and Becca think the same way. You have a nasty way of growing on people like that, and you know what? We got everything we needed in here. I'll just wipe the security recordings and we're good to go.
Boo! Hiss! Heckle! Boo! I mean, at the same time, it's a cliche for someone to, like, reveal their feelings in order to cheer somebody else up, but meh. Sometimes you just gotta roll with the cliche.
While I'm at it, you better wipe the snot off your face. And you don't look very nice when you're balding like that.
But you didn't have to be like that, Ash. Come on now. Hastily, I gather everything. The personnel files, client documents, sale agreements, and contracts. Anything my hands could reach. Let's see what it says there. So we just got another update. There we go. While gathering what they found, Ashton accidentally brought up Isabella's father, who had apparently passed away the day before. Suddenly, her reasons for trying to fix this mess become clear to him. In his attempt to comfort her, he ended up almost admitting something he's not yet ready to put to words. There we go. In record time, all of it's been stacked in a neat pile, ready for storage. I'm heading for the records room. Not a second later. Wherever that is. Should be an easy find, unless this place is a maze of some sort. Which I highly doubt. Still beats staying here and seeing the look on her face. Crap. Really, her anger's still bearable. I can take that, including the glowers she sends my way.
So, yeah, I'll go get the security videos and put these back where you pulled them from. Man, these are heavy, you know?
Ash, it's just paper. You don't even know where I...
Oh, no, I can handle this. Easy as pie. And, yeah, security cams, tapes, videos, cams.
Ash, just give her the fucking sheets. Let her put it away.
Yeah, I'm off.
Her rejection at this point? Maybe. Maybe not yet. And I'm gonna save again, because it seems like a good spot to. Getting the files back to BRC's archive room is a cinch. With the documents back in the proper places, I locked the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. Now to the next order of business. Removing the evidence of our little excursion in here, or at the very least the parts showing that we've been doing during the past hour. Can't have our faces plastered on security footage showing us breaking the law as we were. I'm gonna have to wipe the data for Isabella's access card entries too. Surprisingly, finding their security room proves a breeze. What would be tricky is getting inside. The fact that no one's walked out during the whole time we've been here means the room's either empty or their security set asleep. I'm banking more on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I have no doubt that they fired the guy stationed here. If they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place. It's a rather common thing for establishments. Just leave security recordings indefinitely, and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ears against the door, listening for a sign of anyone occupying the room. After a long minute and nothing, I give the knob a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary, and with a search warrant. Even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. Subtlety isn't on a cop's a priority if they have authority to search the premise. Bolt cutters and brute force are the favored methods. If those fail, we call a blacksmith. Me? I prefer the good old hairpin trick, when those options aren't available. Besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. 2 of these, and I could just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever, the other makes a handle. I won't call it complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. Good thing I practiced with them for a bit in my college years. I learned more when they're accessible and standard issue for a law enforcement officer. A wriggle here, a click here, there, and I managed to seize all the pins and the locking mechanism soon enough. And with a slight turn of the knob, the security room's ripe for the picking. The room's odor hits me first. A sharp, nauseating stench as if someone has accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. When was the last time they opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
This is probably because of a bad botched effort to clean the place up. Even in the dark, I can spy dark stains on the wall. Uh-oh. I really don't have the time to try and play this ketchup or soda right now, but I have this strange gut feeling who the mess might belong to. As expected, no security personnel mans the office CCTV controls, and the standard DVR setup is open for anyone. Normally, I'd have a heap of things to say about this sloppy security setup, but right now their negligence makes the whole task of erasing evidence easier.
No fuss, no muss.
The next one should be the access card data. Hopefully getting into the computer won't be too much of a hassle. Everything up to now has been smooth sailing. There have been hiccups. I'll give that, though it doesn't seem to dampen the mood I'm in. Once I shift my attention to the machine sitting next to the DVR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I'm no computer buff, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old. Simply looking at it makes me feel younger. With a heavy sigh, power it up, and mentally prepare myself for a slow slug. Slow, apparently, remains an understatement here. It takes a whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The operating system hasn't even started loading, and in my boredom I start inspecting the live feeds from the cameras. Only two work. One from the views outside, and everything seems to be in order, and the other from one main workspace here. It's a fleeting glimpse. Oh. A cursory glance, but the sight of it stops me. The image is a bit blurry. I'm standing there right in the middle of the room by one of the cubicles I can make out a form of. Oh, shit!
What the hell is...
I don't get too far into that line of thought. A few seconds after my words have slipped out without any sort of warning while I'm still trying to make sense of what it is, the figure moves. Fuck! A moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera. Like a damn rookie, I go still in the face of danger. I definitely haven't been trained to handle the supernatural, and this is one, isn't it? And, oh fuck. Her eyes bore into me, the malice in them piercing. Even beyond the screen, it's enough to make me go numb. Only the mug crashing to the floor when my hand accidentally takes a swipe at it snaps me out of the trance, reminding me that I'm not the only one here. Isabella. It seems she hasn't noticed anything. Am I the only one seeing this? In any case, whatever's happening, I have to get her out. Gathering my wits, I quickly reach for my phone. It takes but all 2 seconds before she answers, but there's no time for relief.
Ashton? Did you really have to call? We're practically on the same floor.
Get out of there.
What? What are you...
Out. Get out. I'll meet you in the elevator. Just...
You're creeping me out, Ash.
Good, get out.
Just get yourself out of that place, now!
Without holding back. Without a second thought, I back away from the controls from the room, ready to be done with this place. But before my foot even moves, she disappears.
Son of a...
Oh! She did not like that. Instinct instantly takes over. My hand quickly reaches for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. A mistake that cost me a few precious seconds while the paperwork I brought with me threatens to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering everything in myself once more with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next, and I lunge towards the door. I sprint across the office without daring to look back. Isabella's already waiting in front of the elevator by the time I make it out of the office. Worry creases her eyebrow upon glancing at me, but I don't have time to answer the question in her eyes. As soon as I reach her, I grab her arm, practically throw the two of us into the open elevator, and slam the button for the ground floor. A sigh of relief escapes from me when the elevator starts to descend. The clicking noises fade off into the distance. I think he's a believer, ladies and gentlemen. I think he finally believes, for real. Beside me, Isabella shifts, moving the stack of papers under her arm while she takes in my appearance. Concerns in her eyes, though all I offer her is a small gesture of my hand while I attempt to compose myself. Breathe. In out. Not that this is a time, but did he actually delete the footage of them both being in the office? I don't know if he had time to do that before Ghost Girl decided to make her appearance.
Why are we in such a hurry?
We need to get out of this place. Did you get everything?
Yeah, it's all here. But really, you don't look too good. What's wrong, Ash?
Time to man up. I was wrong. I saw her.
I'll be fine. I was in the security room. From the monitors, there was a fucking...
The rest of what I'm about to say dies on my tongue when the elevator stops and opens, and the door is open too. That's not the ground floor, is it? There's a moment pause while we both take in our surroundings. Confusion's understandably there.
Oh, come on! They should just replace this whole thing!
No, I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor.
Right? But it's just as Isabella said, the elevator always did have problems when I visited in the past. Yeah, and what a time to have problems now. Sadako is there, and she's waiting to kill us. Often she becomes so angry whenever we try to get to her floor, and she'll have to repeatedly smash the button for the elevator to even move. That was always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. Now? In the distance beyond the light's reach, the noise echoes in my ears along with the rapid pounding in my chest. Isabella stiffens and her eyes grow wide at the sound. Gingerly, she reaches up to grab the hem of my shirt and grips it. Hard, tight enough for her fingernails to dig through. Her eyes search wildly for the source of the sound while I stand protectively in front of her. Yep, we were both hearing this.
Ash, did you hear that?
Anyone there? I can hear you moving from here. Show yourself.
No response. No response, only the soft sound of something scurrying around the floor and the walls in slow, deliberate movements. Faint, though still audible enough in this hush. Until it stops. A moment.
We need to go, Ash. We have to.
And then. This time I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my training, my whole body freezes. Hands still mid-press of the button, eyes growing wide while waiting for any sort of movement from further back, and ears strained for the source of the sound. Okay, it's QTE time, let's go. Can't even offer Isabella any reassurances. Much as I hate to admit it, dread has seeped into every nerve in my body. The blasted elevator still won't work.
This isn't in my fucking training manual!
I love that line, it's great! This isn't in my fucking training manual. Oh.
Ash, we need to leave. I know that sound. Ash, please, get the elevator!
Another series of shuffling against the ground, a laughter, and all of a sudden she's just there. Like a twisted spider, she stares at us, a look of hunger in her eyes and venom in the twisted smile in the twisted manner she smiles. A glee she's well earned. But we're damn flies that have been dropped right on the spider's web.
Ashton!
Damn it!
Without warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurried crawl she takes, knowing I'm at her mercy.
Fucking hell!
Ashton, the door! The door!
Yeah, no shit, I'm trying! Our lives are in the hands of a crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death. We're not going to die here. We're not in a damned elevator. Oh! Well, okay then. I guess I forgot to turn that back on. As if a divine power has heard me swearing up a storm in my head, the doors close just as that thing moves nearer. Soon the elevator, the blasted thing, is heading up. Isabella's knees buckle in relief. 2 ticks, she's hugging herself without any care for the mess of papers and folders she has dropped on the floor in her panic. She draws in one ragged breath after another, each one bribing with nothing but relief. And this is the most I've been tired my whole damn life. Not during training, when my superior first asked me to drop 100. Not after a stakeout, but after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. I slumped to the ground beside her, worn out. But I don't let myself feel relief again. Not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be of the same mind as she looks to me. Still, I find myself shaking a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. We're fine. Right?
Yeah, we're good. Alive.
I kind of want to go back and see if I could deal with that, because I have a feeling it's just spammed like the X button or something. Or whatever button they have me spam. Probably spacebar. But, yeah, I might do that on my own just to see if I can.
Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
We should have. Twice I've seen it. Thrice if I include the party. Unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it, there's no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a believer. He finally believes, he's finally on board. Enough with this isn't happening bullshit. He's on board. I don't want to believe it. But with the truth staring me in the face, it would be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. As soon as the lift hits the ground floor, we hightail out of the building. Seb's sound asleep when we pass by his station. However, in the face of what we've seen, everything I face tonight, we really can't care less who will still see us on our way out. The sooner we get away from this place, the farther, the better. I'm just not sure if that also means being safe. She almost got us, damn it. The fucking thing almost got us. Shit. It was only by luck that we managed to get the fucking elevator unstuck. Had the blasted thing not worked in the last second. I need some air. Fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. I'm panicking. Christ! Losing focus. With another person here, I can't afford that right now. Isabella hasn't said anything, but I know she's more shaken than I am. I can't lose it when another person's depending on me.
Remember your training, Frey.
Another deep breath. And soon I'm starting the engines and driving us off. After that little incident, somewhere open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. The park, of course. Ashton and Isabella beat a quick exit after getting what they need, making sure not to leave evidence of their break-in. On the way out, however, the elevator malfunctioned and dropped them in the building's basement parking instead, where a familiar face welcomed them. Luxbourne Park brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has seeped in my bones is still there, unfurling and unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths. Just how many copies of the letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Could it be that the one she's shown us is just one of 5? Maybe even more? That whole past this 5 people business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? Well, we know the answer to that, but all in all, we found 21 people who might have read the letter. 7 of them deceased, 8 if we count Cooper. And that's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how the contractors and specialists hired from outside the company are doing, if we are in any way affected. How many more people are suffering? How many are missing? How many are dead? Can I still even blame the rights for this? Sorry. Can I still even blame the rights for this? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit. Still so many things we need to look into. Yet all my body wants to do is burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
Ashton, I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
It's the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped here. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits, I suppose. She certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who's just seen something terrible. But it's been more than a week for her already. People do get desensitized to things at some point. Even someone like Isabella. Who knows what's going on inside her head, though? Inside mine? There are too many, and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
What I'm not expecting when I turn to her is mirth. One that only she could barely contain. One that she could only barely contain.
You're laughing. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
At you, dumbass. I'm not quite sure what she sees in my face, but in the next second, a laugh suddenly burst out from her.
I'm so sorry. It's just that you should have seen the look on your face back there.
Yes, right. Sure. I'm not the one who's panicked. You almost ripped my arm off.
Yeah, but...
Isabella, this isn't funny. We could have ended up dead.
That woman almost got us. You skipped that line, dude.
I know. I'm really sorry. But this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Yes, she is, kind of.
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
No, Isabella. He's not scared. He's fucking petrified. There's a difference. There are degrees to this. Come on now.
I'm not, alright? I'm just... I just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after, the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence. Laughter dies on her lips as everything sinks in. We're in deep shit, and it's finally caught up and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone. Because she's been warning us of this since day one. And I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve almost desperately. To be fair though, Ash, she showed it to Luke, Hannah, and Marianne first, as well as, well, Rose kind of took it from her. She didn't actually try to show it to her. But, Hannah and Luke were the first two to dismiss, technically. You were the third. I mean, I know it's semantics, but... Her hands are trembling. Oh, well, it's probably a good time to save anyway. Her hands are trembling, and there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, only fear remains. One that she's been burdened with from the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it, right? Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Unexpectedly, she leans her forehead against my arm, and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's desperation in there. A quiet plea.
Don't want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
I wish I could give her that promise. But with so many unknowns, so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? Why she still trusts that I can do something about this baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved, considering the way I've treated her. Yet, despite my reluctance, I find myself returning her holding kind. A grasp. Warm and light enough to comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it.